All right. Well, hi. Hello, my friends. Happy Friday and welcome to Is Your Storage Platform AI Ready and Compatible with Latest Hypervisors and Operating Systems? What a great question. Now, today's exciting webinar is sponsored by Hewlett Packard Enterprise and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Jess Steinbach, and I'm very happy that I get to be here with all of you today as your moderator and to learn alongside you on this lovely Friday. Now, today we are going to explore a unique block storage offering that enables an intuitive cloud experience. We will hear from our expert presenter what should be on your list if you're looking to build that intuitive AI-driven cloud experience on-prem. So maybe you are looking to simplify management and move your infrastructure to an app-centric environment. And I'm guessing that many of you are dreaming about those uplifts in performance and capacity enabled with disaggregated storage. And in our discussion today, you will get to hear about all of this because today we will get some expert guidance from our top industry leader at HPE, who is here to help us sort through this important aspect of our organization's IT infrastructure. We have a great chat ahead of us. What a perfect way to wrap up a week, to hang out together, to learn some cool things and get into an interactive conversation. All of that is coming at you. So let's get through a few housekeeping points and get this show on the road. First up, I want to draw your attention on over to the questions window. So if you haven't already said hi, hello, given a wave, Martin, I see you, Daniel, Marteza, Tony, I see you all. Say hi and hello. Give us a little Friday greeting. Let us know how you're doing, how your week is wrapping up. We want to hear all of that. And then as we go through our session today, you're going to get those questions into the tab. So whatever is kind of burning a hole in your brain today, whatever you're really mulling over and you want to dig into, whether it's a question or a thought or an idea that you want to get into with our speaker, post in that questions window. We'll be watching those come in throughout the presentation, and then we're going to take some time to jump into Q&A at the end. So please do keep those questions coming. Now, that window is also the best place to reach out to us if you do have any technical issues. So if there's any problems with slides advancing or audio at any point, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to try a browser refresh. If that browser refresh does not work for you, you're going to post a message in the questions window, and the Actual Tech Media team will be there to help you out. All right, I also want to make sure that you visit the handouts tab if you haven't already done so. It's right next to the questions window. Click into that handouts tab and start exploring. There are some great resources and takeaways to help you get the most out of the info you're about to hear. So you're going to get all this great insight, and you don't want to lose it, right? You don't want to go out on your Friday afternoon adventures, whatever those may be, and head out into the weekend, and then you come back on Monday, and then you wish you remembered everything and you don't. And that happens sometimes, right? So the handouts are the way that we can jog that memory point. We can, oh, right, that was that really cool and fascinating thing that I heard on Friday that Jess told me I was going to want to remember, and now I have it. So click on the handout, make sure you've got those with you. Hold on to those for later, but don't go anywhere yet because we've got a whole fun conversation ahead of us here yet today. Speaking of fun, we also have a $250 Amazon gift card coming at you at the end of our webinar. So you do need to be here, you do need to be live, you do need to be present, and you need to meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions in order to win that prize. Speaking of prizes, we also have one more cool opportunity to win today. We have a $50 Amazon gift card going to the best question asked. So when you ask a question today, you get in my good books, you get a gold star, you get a high five from me, and you are entered to win this best question gift card. We review all of the questions asked after we wrap, which means that even if we don't get to your question in our live Q&A today with our wonderful speaker, you are still entered to win. So get those questions in. All right, well, with that, I think it's about time that we jump into things. I know you guys are ready to rock. I am too. I can't wait to get into our conversation because we have here with us an incredible expert and speaker, and that is, of course, John Vitello, Category Manager, Mission Critical Block Storage at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. John, I'm so excited to hear what you have rolling for us today. I know we got a lot to cover. We want to get into some Q&A at the end, so I'm going to step back. I'm going to hand the mic right on over to you. Take it away, John.
All right, thank you, and very glad to be here, and thank you all for your time today. My name is John Vitello, as you just heard, and I am here to talk to you a little bit about the future of storage, because we are in a new world with storage, and compared to previous years, first thing I want to talk about is our HPE Discover 2024. This year is going to be exciting because we've got the all new storage platforms, we've got new AI platforms, we've got all kinds of learning and education, It's going to be a great event the week of June 17th at the Venetian in Las Vegas. So please join HPE at Discover 2024 with that quick advertisement. Let's talk a little bit about the age of insight. We're definitely in a new world where the compute intensive applications are exceeding the capacity of traditional infrastructure. And that's whether trying to tame massive data growth, maybe going with larger data models or new algorithms, but also we're dealing with the challenges of enterprises trying to get more performance out of an existing or limited budget, right? And while trying to get performance, we're worrying about sustainability and efficiency because they all come together. But as these requirements continue to evolve, enterprises must be able to upgrade their infrastructure to capitalize on the latest data and technology trends. So, what does that mean for you? Well, as a customer, you may be using legacy storage with two node architectures or still using spinning disk. And you might have some type of virtualization question coming on these days. Maybe you're going to consider some new AI initiative, or you're going to have a combination of some hybrid cloud or something else. When you think about where your company is going, these insights do take a toll on some because the software they're running is really getting to the pinnacle of existence where they're expecting to optimize all of the system power and resources so that what they're trying to do within the ecosystem is get every last inch of data or compute out of that architecture. They want to shorten the development cycles, especially in HPC and converged workloads, and they're also trying to get a cloud experience everywhere. And as folks get these expectations, especially when you're looking at insights, they're also looking behind a little bit because you still have your typical worries that any other customer would have, right? Because, uptime is a major concern and you still have to be secure. So if we're talking about cyber threats, whether it's imposed by third-party actors or maybe something innocent and it's a phishing attack, or maybe we're talking about unplanned disruptions, natural disasters. As we merged or moved to cloud, what we soon found over time was a lot of customers started repatriating or coming out of the cloud because they realized they could not get that guaranteed uptime they were looking for. And with that came complexity because now you have data governance and sovereignty, and you have to balance that with the skill within your organization, with the different vendors or platforms, and also across your organizations and customers in some cases if you're interacting with your customers. And all of that has to be taken under consideration in this new world. And that means that digital transformation is essential to your success, but it has to be via a data first modernization. Because if you don't take a look at your data now, and if you don't begin modernizing your data architectures today, all the decisions you're making over the next days, weeks, months, or years are really going to come to a point where the architecture of the storage is going to fall behind on the compute. And we're at that crossover now where pretty much most organizations are looking at NVMe everywhere. Very less often am I seeing spinning disk out there. I do see spinning disk for cost specific implementations because it makes a lot of sense. If it really comes down to you don't need super high performance and you're keeping your cost in line, there still is a place for that spinning disk or hybrid combination of maybe a little bit of spinning disk combined with a little bit more of cache for your performance. But more and more our customers have to get away from complex management. They just don't want it anymore. They've got these infrastructure silos where maybe you've got a file server on these two controllers and you've got a different type of server over there. On the edge, you're running this storage unit, and over there in that colo or remote office site, you're running these two or three storage units, and you have all these inefficiently scaled components. And we've all worked over the last 10 years to get every inch of utilization out of our hardware, only to find we're right back to where we might have been with that price versus performance trade-off that we all were trying to solve 10 years ago that we thought we had our arms around. And it's a tough thing for a customer, right? Because as a customer, you want what's best for your infrastructure, but you also want to make sure that no matter what you're doing, you're future-proofing your environment. And we have to take a new approach. And when we talk about mission critical storage, we're talking about a cloud management experience everywhere. So put your storage where you want. Do you want it in your data center? Do you want it at a colo? Do you want a combination of colo data center, maybe colo data center, third party cloud, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But what you do want to do is run all your workloads on one infrastructure. We no longer need 5 or 6 different types of storage units, 3 or 4 layers. Cache this disk, put that over there, then move this to NVMe. And if it's 3 weeks old, move that to spinning disk, but then put it to tape. All that is gone in the modern architectures because they've maximized that infrastructure at scale. And we're eliminating the price and performance compromise because now you get data reduction pretty standard, like from HPE, our Alletra MP block storage. We're talking 3 to 1, 4 to 1 easily, right? And a lot of companies throw numbers out there for effective storage. I'm not going to get too much into the nuts and bolts because our storage is all NVMe. It's as fast as you're ever going to need. It's going to be scalable, but more importantly, when we take a look at the use cases and workloads, you no longer have to run VMware or Oracle on separate storage systems. You no longer have to worry about your Microsoft workloads or your SQL Server or containers running in a multi-tenant environment. We're past that. In our new world, in the new world of disaggregated storage, you're going to find that it's just so easy because it's no longer a pair of computers or a pair of controllers or a pair of computers or storage units talking to each other, but then worrying about the overhead of the cache, the overhead of the controller. Those are problems you're running into today, I'm sure. But from a modern day perspective or perception, uh, it's just, those are the old ways of doing things because we give you that simplified management with Alletra MP block. We give you better performance and economics. But again, we're telling you to run any app you want on our storage because we can tell you what we need in advance before ever running into a problem because we use AI analytics for our operational uh, objectives for how we help you manage the storage. But from an HPE point of view, we are no longer in a situation where you actually have to worry about anything when it comes to uptime because we'll guarantee that uptime. And that's very important to our customers. And how do we do it? We're doing it by giving you a GreenLake cloud control plane. So you get that cloud management architecture that goes across your entire environment from HPE. And we deliver you services, whether it's file, block, networking, backup, data protection, replication, pick your number of different things you want to do within your organization. But we complement that with our next generation of storage we call HPE Alletra Storage MP. And what that is, it's a common disaggregated hardware platform. So what that means is you can run the compute portion of a storage environment with as much or as little storage as you need. You can add storage as you need to scale. You can add compute as you need to scale. And as you grow even larger, you can add NVMe switches to the back end, right? This doesn't go on your public network. And you can actually increase performance and scalability and add even more storage or more compute as needed. So now when you're thinking of your block or your file, you only need one single namespace or maybe a limited number of block mount points because in this day and age, our storage or compute portion of the storage will not be overrun. And that's very important because it starts with a very simplified and intuitive cloud experience on-prem, right? So literally, when you drop the device in, we auto discover it. When it comes time to provision, we have, AI managed self-service provisioning. What does that mean? Well, you just tell the system, you want to set up a new, application, and that application, needs X amount of storage, needs to be backed up at a certain amount of, intervals, and By the way, I want this type of, not only performance recommendation, but, maybe I want it in 2 sites or maybe even 3 sites. A couple clicks of a mouse and our unified storage management will actually deploy that application on your behalf and will even monitor it. And not only that, as you're managing throughout the days, weeks, months, years, if we find problems, if we think there's a predictive failure, we'll open a ticket on your behalf. So that's pretty cool. And when you combine that with invisible upgrades, meaning you no longer have to take your storage offline to upgrade the firmware or worry about redundancy, now we're talking about the next generation of storage from HPE, because it really comes down to economics with disaggregated scale out storage, right? Because we're talking about, very small, very few limitations from a single platform where whether you want block or file, you have the choice of controller nodes. Start with a couple, go to 4 nodes. Heck, we're constantly growing and increasing our footprint in our in our technology. You'll be over 4 nodes for those super high performance users, but also combine it with an NVMe backend fabric, all enclosed, easily managed, automatically managed by the HPE GreenLake platform. So it's transparent to the customer, and now you combine that with the storage that's separated from the server. And what that gives you in your whole environment is the ability to either grow compute or storage at your own pace, at your own time when needed. And because we're always on, again, you can get a 100% availability guarantee. And because we have massive parallelization, we can use all nodes connecting to all drives at all times. And we never have to worry about what pair of controllers is talking to what drives or what's the overhead of this node versus that node. It's all AI driven to make sure that you're not running into performance bottlenecks or issues right from the get go. So now take your traditional apps, your modern apps, and your consolidated and mixed workloads and put them all in the same storage, because not only are we NVMe, but we've got AI driven use cases where we make sure we're watching your workloads to assure you're running at the best performance and getting that utilization out of the storage unit. So with 100% data availability comes that 98% savings in operational time, because we're going to open up your tier 1 and tier 2 tickets automatically. You're running low on disk space, we'll page you. But how about maybe you set, some type of IO experience where you want a tier 0 app to always run at a certain performance level. Well, if it looks like that's going to be affected, we will page you. What if you've got a hard drive or something that's signaling maybe there's a failure coming down the road? Not only will we open a ticket for you, but we'll also put that hard drive in the mail and get that right out to your data center as well, because the predictive analytics, for us, that came from the 3PAR days, from the older days of storage from HPE, where everybody else was trying to figure out what's next in storage. We were already getting into self-healing technologies that are being driven by our InfoSight engine for that generation of storage. And then even going further, so when we go from 3PAR, we go to our Alletra brand storage, we only increase that performance. So now we're talking about 66% faster performance than our last generation of storage. And when we talk about 2x performance overall, we're talking about the ability to say, hey, you know what, you're all NVMe. You thought your previous NVMe storage was fast. Well, take a look at this next generation disaggregated storage, because that is really, really faster. And that's important for a customer. But remember, I'm not getting into speeds and feeds anymore. You don't have to worry about it, because we're giving you that data availability. We're giving you that performance. We're giving you that trust that you need in your storage. So as you're building your next generation architecture, we're future proof for you. We're already ready for the next generation. So if you're going to be making that, hypervisor or that container decision, or maybe you're worrying about licenses, and there are different things going on in different organizations that might drive behaviors. Well, rest assured that if you go with Alletra MP block storage, you can just move right ahead now, because we are ready for the future. We are the next generation. And You look at some of our competitors, and we are very affordable. You can enter MP with just a couple nodes. So in many cases, it's well under 100,000 to go in with all NVMe, right? We're talking about self-service provisioning, right, for your line of business. And we're giving you AI ops, whether you buy one small storage system or you have a very large multi-petabyte, multiple site storage system. We scale for you with you. So with that, you can scale adding one node at a time, or maybe even only a couple drives at a time, because you can start off with a couple controller nodes and maybe add a third or fourth node, or maybe in a couple of years you want to go to 8 nodes. You can only really worry about what's in front of you today and where you're going tomorrow. And we cover that as a standard because most customers may only need 2 nodes to start, 3 nodes or 4 nodes for growth. And our AI ops are what will save your bacon, as I would say it in the future, because we're watching the trends of storage. We're always adding more storage software features, and any new features that release to the GreenLake platform. Let's say we do a new type of replication, or maybe we lower latency between sites on specific types of peer persistence or different types of performance applications. You get that as a free software upgrade with your product that you're already using today. So you're future proofed. And that's really important to HPE because not only are we starting with a simplified deployment, we're really getting better with intent-based provisioning. So now you just say, hey, I'm putting out a SQL server. Here's my profile. It'll create the VMs. It'll do whatever you need done depending on what you're buying for hardware, software from HPE. And as you move forward, you'll find that software as a service based management is going to be really important because you can manage it anywhere in the world. And not only can you manage it anywhere in the world, it's intent-based provisioning, but also operationalizing this is very simple. And if you have a third-party provider that does the management of your storage, fine. Set them up with rules, with authentication, with certain privileges. So maybe they just monitor your environment. Maybe they can deploy in your environment. Maybe you only have 1 or 2 people that you want deploying hardware in your environment. They can be anywhere in the world, and you'll lock it down permission-wise where the vast majority of other folks have read only or maybe no access. Or how about this? What if you need that site to be a super secret site with confidential information? Maybe you want it air gapped to make sure that that workload you're running is not only mission critical, but protected from outside elements. We also allow our hardware from Alletra MP Block in the GreenLake platform that we're running here. We also offer a subset of that to run in your data center and actually isolated from the outside environment or even the inside world of your own data center. So you can get an air gapped experience. Now, some customers require that for every inch of their data center. Others may have 8 or 10 areas of their data center that are fine and normal, and maybe a DMZ or 1 or 2 spots where they're, trying to worry about what they're exposing as a footprint, whether it be to their customers, the outside world, or even internally between business units. But the fact is, we're giving you 98% operational time savings because we're using our own AI ops to make life easier for you. And I talk about, again, we get our DNA from Nimble and 3PAR. So we started off with amazing products that were designed to analyze your architecture, look at your infrastructure, and solve the most common IT problems organically from the AI. And then, of course, you can always open up your own trouble tickets and do anything you'd like on your own as a self-service, and you can go right to a tier 3, service provider. So when you call us, you'll get the best level support right out of the gates. So it's as simple as literally power up your device, get it on the network, and then deploy a configuration. If you're doing it once, so you're up and running in a couple hours, things are great. If you've got 1 of these, 2 of these, or like a customer that just recently picked up over 100 of these units, they're going to create a template, and their templates are going to be set by site, and they're also going to be set by geographical location and redundancy requirements. And as these units arrive all over the world, they're going to be auto-discovered, auto deployed and auto implemented so that the applications that are being run on them can automatically be deployed. So what that means is if they want to deploy 250 SQL servers across 5 countries, you know, even across 2 different continents, they can do all of that with the single click of a mouse. Or it can be as simple as, you know what, they're going to cover up all their storage once. They're going to give it to a large application farm or a large hypervisor or container farm and let that take care of it. We have all the plugins, all the fun things you need. But the key here is we become transparent to your environment in the next generation of storage, right? Because that's where you need to be as a customer. You can't really worry anymore. If you create a rule for your application and you say, I'm going to create application XYZ, and I know maybe I'm going to call it a Windows file server. And, as you see here in this example, you'll name the workload, you'll tell it how many volumes, the typical size of a volume. Do you want to give it to a certain host group? So maybe it'll go out to 2 servers, maybe a dozen servers. It depends what you're doing, how large of a cluster, what you want to set up with it. But also, how do you want to handle your snapshots? And do you want them to auto expire? You can create all that in a simple rule for that application. And then maybe you'll have, application A DR. Maybe you'll have application A prod. But the key is, however you're setting up and deploying the applications, now it's simple. You click the provisioner, literally select your protection policy, and then you power on your application and deploy it. It is that simple. Again, the whole cloud experience brought to your platform on your storage unit without ever having to worry about it again. So now you get one console to manage it all. It's all simple, self-service, right? Get as little or as much as you want. It's up to you, and access it from anywhere, any device, unless, of course, you want to air gap it. And now all at your fingertips, right there in front of you. And that's what's key here, because again, we need to make it simple. We need to make it easy, because you're also going to have to worry about upgrades at some point. And when you upgrade with HPE on Alletra MP block on that platform, it's automated and non-disruptive, but it's also policy driven. So maybe you want site 1 to maybe be on the latest. Maybe you want site 2 to be a version behind, or vice versa. Maybe you want, the latest version on site 1, the, tertiary version on, the site N, because you just want to make sure that you've got prod or DR never being touched at any given time. It's your option. You can keep it as simple and automated, click a button, let it fly, or you can make it as manual as you need to handle your SLA and your testing. And again, that's big for our customers, because we're in this new world where everybody gets a tile, right? You want to back up your environment, just click on the launch button for backup and recovery, create snapshots, use Zerto for disaster recovery, fail over a VM, whether you want to do it in your data center or you want to send it across the entire world. It's right there at your fingertips. I keep saying that. That's funny. Cloud physics. What if you're using cloud physics and you want to analyze your data center architecture, but then you want to look at your block storage? Well, just click on your block storage within that tile and you'll go back to your storage. So you can get around within these environments, and you can still come back to the hardware level or the hardware layer. But more times than not, once customers get started, they're living in the ecosystem of, the greater GreenLake experience, where you're just saying, are my VMs created? Are my volumes created? Are they redundantly protected? Are they meeting their protection SLAs? And let me know the exception-based issues. Tell me if I've got any volumes created that are not replicated that are part of this application. Tell me if I've got some hot zones where this application at a certain time of the day is just sending too much data and I'm throttling a network port, and maybe I just can't tell because it's happening sporadically. Well, I can find that type of heuristic within the GreenLake platform, so I can look at things with Data Ops Manager and Cloud Physics and really get an understanding of my environment. And whether I want to deploy file or block, it's right there in front of me, or I want to take a look at my private cloud business edition, which is a large virtualized environment, but maybe I want to look at all 3 of them, and I just want to say, show me any problem children from all of my environments, including my networking. You can do that too. And that's huge because in this day and age, you shouldn't require a specific console for your group shares, a certain console you go to when you're deploying a different type of storage, or a certain console when you're just trying to, figure out what you're doing for replication. Why not deal with your data and your compute workloads like a cloud provider does? You get that in your data center with the cost of your storage at no extra expense. We're not line iteming, $100,000 of software on a $20,000 storage unit. We're giving you a very fair software package and a cloud-based management experience because we are keeping things simple for you. And again, I'm not talking ones and zeros. I'm not telling you how many, gigabits per second I can push across an NVMe drive, jumping through an NVMe switch, going to, a 4-node controller, because believe me, we have the charts. And when you look at a graph like this, you can see with your eyes, you can see some storage, on the bottom for our storage nodes. If you look in the middle of our disaggregated architecture, you'll see NVMe switches for the backend. Your hosts don't connect to that. That's just for the storage, and it's automatically managed. And then, of course, you have your compute nodes. Start off with a couple, grow as needed. But more importantly, that GreenLake for Block Storage OS running on the GreenLake Cloud platform is always available, always running for you. And that really makes it simple to reduce your costs because everybody's looking for a better TCO or an ROI, and you can't maximize efficiency if you're using legacy, everything for all your junk in one giant kitchen sink, atmosphere where you've got your controllers and your memory and your compute. And, basically people have taken storage and then tried to make some type of aggregated VM store. And you look at what we've tried over the years, and sometimes people think, are we working ourselves, going from the old days of mainframe, going to a, server storage disaggregated, and are we heading back towards mainframe? You look at the cycle, and what we are finding is that your storage has to be able to eliminate the bottlenecks, but the bottleneck that you're eliminating has to be able to be handled at the compute level of the storage, not the compute level of your workload, or the data portion of your storage. So let us handle it and then scale what we need when we need as we need it. So now when you're adding storage, what if you only need a couple drives and you don't need the extra performance? Or what if you need more compute nodes and you've got more than enough storage? Well, isn't it nice to know that all you have to do is pop in another quick building block and literally power it on and never have to worry about over provisioning again because you're only adding what's needed. And then if in fact you're adding a lot of storage and you want to upgrade transparently, it's there for you, but also it can migrate your data for you if you want to rebalance. Maybe you have 48 NVMe drives and you want to add 48 more NVMe drives and your drives are already full. Well, you can put the new 48 NVMe drives in instantly and start using them on the fly. So you can instantly add storage, but at the same time, we can slowly in the background start to re-level the storage so you can use the performance of 96 NVMe drives over a period of time. That way, as you're adding storage, you're not siloing that storage and you're always future-proofing your storage. And you'll hear me go back to that because you could start off crazy inexpensive. I'm talking an 8-core dual controller model with 24 NVMe drives in the front, very simple 2U design. Or maybe you need 16 cores, and we can look at your workloads. We have sizers. We have ways to evaluate your environment to work with you. And maybe even you need a 32 core, but still 2 nodes, right? So now you're saying, wow, that's pretty impressive. 32 core, a pair of nodes, maybe a couple shelves of storage. Well, maybe you can do that with your storage provider today. You probably can. But what happens when you need to add that extra shelf of storage, but yet you don't need more compute? Or what if all of a sudden you brought on, a HANA farm, and now you require so much performance, you need to go to 32 core models? Well, toss a switch in transparently in the back end, add a couple 32 core switch nodes, and now all of a sudden you've just added hundreds of gigabytes of throughput and, sub-millisecond latency to your applications across NVMe with a single click of a mouse. And that's what's different, folks. This is what I'm talking about. Again, not ones and zeros. I'm not out there trying to tell you that my NVMe is special to anybody else's, or I'm not trying to tell you that my disk is faster than their disk. We're talking about the operationalization of a storage platform that is second to none because we are using 10 years of future-proof designing, starting off with 3PAR, going to Nimble, going to other products from HPE, creating the best user interface possible so that you have one interface to manage all of your workloads. And again, that is super important to our customers, and that's usually top 10 in their mind because once you eliminate the silo, you gather that common cloud experience, you automatically improve your TCO and your ROI because now you're looking at block as a service like a service provider would, file as a service like a service provider, and you get that hybrid cloud data protection with all of our global AI ops. So again, not only are you super flexible, you're non-binding, and when you look at a problematic workload, it's fantastic because we can model it with you. If we know what your workload is in advance, we can absolutely pre-plan and onboard it instantly. Or if you run into that problem, we give you all the required tools to find that bottleneck, to identify that application layer issue. And, we've even helped customers, rejigger their own code as needed because sometimes the problem isn't in the storage unit. But isn't it nice when you have a cloud-based management model where anywhere in the world you can get your specifications, and if you think you're bottlenecking or you think you're experiencing a problem, you can address it with the click of the mouse from anywhere in the world. And that gives you 100% data availability guaranteed for your mission critical workloads. So that means you can get that in writing. And it also means that now you're talking about building a resilient design center, right? We're talking about no single failure, no single point of failure. We're talking about multiple site replication. We can architect that for you right out of the box and create those roles. So now, as you're creating or you're rolling out your apps, it'll automatically stretch your applications across multiple sites. It'll replicate the applications across multiple sites and even give you that disaster recovery and failover between sites. We can do all of that within the GreenLake platform for you. So the more you throw at it, the easier it gets to operate, the less your expenses start becoming an issue, and more your staff is actually running your business and not taking care of the care and feeding of the hardware. Leave that to us. And I'm going to show you this chart because this blows away a lot of our customers. When you look at how we're set up now, our controller nodes across dual switched NVMe fabrics means that your storage nodes and your controller nodes can all speak to the storage simultaneously. You're not limited where one node talks to one drive or one controller only talks to one shelf. We are talking about an architecture built for NVMe, no tuning required, multi-tenancy at scale. So we're talking petabytes with instant failover. And if that's not good enough, think of the fact again that we're telling you 98% higher IOPS if you're running an Oracle environment. We're talking 185% higher transfer rate for your throughput. We're talking about 53% lower run times for your SQL queries and 4x the density in the same storage footprints for SQL applications. That's pretty good, right? And we can give you that in writing, and we have customers you can speak to if you want to hear more about it. Because again, if it's not AI driven for the future, you won't be able to predict the problems that we find on your behalf. We've saved our customers over 1.5 million hours of prediction prevention because we can actually predict in advance and we can prevent future events from occurring based on those predictions. So if we know that that drive seems to be acting up, we'll send a trouble ticket. If we find that at a certain time of the day, something is bottlenecking, we will try to correlate it for you to what application might be doing that. Maybe it's a backup job, who knows? But the idea is we can redefine your support experience through this automation, and we can pinpoint those issues across the stack right to the VM, which eliminates the guesswork. So we are powered by an AI that's second to none because we've been doing this for almost a decade. When you think of what we've done with 3PAR, and when you think of our other storage, like the Alletra storage platform. But more importantly, it's about the storage that we bring to you today and tomorrow, because we need to make sure that you're running as fast as you can and you're not worrying about the speeds and feeds. And that was one of the greatest things when we bought Nimble, was to bring in this AI analytics, because that's why our customers bought Nimble. They needed to make sure that their environment just ran, that they could trust it, and it was future proof. And that's what we brought to them in our environment by giving them the predictive analytics. We'll find your root of cause. We're talking about a 4.91 out of 5 in support satisfaction with less than a minute of an average hold time. So when you're calling support, we're there for you, and we're not answering telling you to rev the firmware. We're answering the calls, looking at the heuristics of your environment, because we have that there. Give us access or don't give us access. It's totally secure, so that's your call. But what that means is start off small, grab a couple nodes. If it's super high performance, go to 4 nodes. Maybe you need 8 JBOS, which is the storage portion of this. But you have your ways to grow. And when you look at where we've gone from our first release in June of 23, where just a couple months ago with release 3, we're talking 32 core switched environments with 4 nodes. That's investment protection for our customers at scale. And on top of it, we'll give you a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. Let's set up some benchmarks. Tell us what we need to achieve. Let us look at your infrastructure. Oh, and by the way, once we know the footprint that we're looking at and we can take a look at that data, we'll give you a store more guarantee. Chances are we'll guarantee in most environments 3x or 4x effective data reduction. But that's not just, us saying we'll get you there. We'll give it to you in writing along with that 100% availability guarantee. I challenge our storage competition right now, and I'm saying that openly, to even try to catch up with where we are. We're too many years ahead of them, and we have the next generation of hardware available today with that cloud architecture that's managing it. That's the secret sauce, is that GreenLake platform. And then with GreenLake, you can pick your levels of support, whether you just want next day support, maybe you want, no exchange of hardware and you want to keep all the memory and spinning disk as it goes, that's fine. Maybe you want a 6-hour call to repair where you're guaranteed up and running in 6 hours should you have a problem. Because you got to remember, sometimes it might be your own employees that take a storage unit down, right? All storage will have hiccups here and there, and we have redundancy to make up for that. But there's always that human element or application element that might cause a problem. So why not, add to that a 15-minute guarantee where we'll pick up the phone within 15 minutes, 24/7, right? So we can offer you that trusting level of support you need for all your application workloads. And by the way, this is where it gets really fun. If you're an existing HPE 3PAR, an HPE Primera, or Alletra 9000 customer, how about just plug the new storage unit in, use pair migration built right into the storage for free, and migrate your data on the fly. Simple, very easy to take care of. Or, maybe you have virtual machines and you're using someone else's storage or someone else's compute, not a problem. Use the migration through Zerto, because Zerto gives you a 30-day free trial, gives you amazing, data protection structures when you're talking about, going between sites, failover, that kind of thing. But maybe you want to do host migration services or using our own HPE migration services. Boy, are we good, but also we've got some amazing partners who are just, their data analytics and their data scientist departments are just amazing. And they do such a good job at migrating your data. Or maybe you just want an application put inline, always copying every block at all times, so that when you do your migration, you can trap, store, and forward the data to make sure you are truly block for block matched as you migrate, right? We give you all these migration options. And that is nothing to laugh at. This is serious stuff where we've brought what used to be very expensive hardware and software at spinning disk economics because we're doing it through the power of our AI driven infrastructure. And that's very important. It's no longer about the speeds and feeds of the individual pieces of hardware. Once you abstract the hardware and you get yourself to the point where you're looking at solutions based on the workload or solutions, based on the outcome as a customer that you require, and no longer having to worry about, boy, do I have a spreadsheet? I've got 750 volumes across 40 storage units, and I don't remember where my last CPU design issue was, or I don't know where to put this redundancy group because that failover group is already full. Don't worry about it. We handle that with AI for you. And more importantly, it's your data, it's your agility, and it's your innovation unleashed, because that's what we're doing for you at HPE with HPE Alletra MP block storage, because it is the next generation of storage. And with that, I'm going to take a little pause, and then we'll grab some questions and we'll take it from there. So thank you very much. And let's get started with a couple questions.
Well, we definitely have a lot of questions to get to, John, but thank you so much for that incredible presentation. That was so interesting. And I love that empowerment at the end. Very good Friday feels. We're getting pumped up. We're making things happen for people. And I love that. Before we get into our questions, John, I just want to point out to everyone in the audience that we have a poll. Think of this as like a wish list or a shopping list. What we're wondering is, what's the additional information that you'd like to get about the HPE solution? So this is going to go right to John's team. And so if you're looking for a data sheet, maybe you're more interested in getting some case studies, you want to really dig into a personalized demo, whatever it is that would be most helpful for you, click on the screen and let John and his crew know how they can best follow up with you after we wrap. John, are you ready to get into some questions?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's do it. All right, so I want to start with this one here because I think for a lot of folks in our audience, this is top of mind. Does Alletra MP provide mission critical availability?
In fact, it does, yes. And I talked about it a little bit during the presentation. And we really have an in writing guarantee guaranteeing 100% uptime. So your mission critical apps, happy to take them on board. And once you get them in your data center, you'll see how easy it is because it's all AI managed. So it really makes it simple.
Awesome. Well, making it simple, hitting the easy button seems to be a theme that I'm hearing from you today. And I love that. I think, hey, who doesn't want that on a Friday especially, right? We all want to hit the easy button today. John, how many controller nodes does Alletra MP support?
So you can start off with as little as a couple nodes and only a few hard drives. So very, very inexpensive, or
Mm-hmm.
NVMe drives, excuse me. Hard drives, I'm showing my age here. And if you need it for the performance, you can go up to 4 nodes. And we're going to even have more nodes available as we come out with new releases of the software. And what's
Hmm.
cool is as we do these new software releases, everybody on the cloud platform gets that interoperability and feature upgrades. So it actually works out for everybody. It's continuous protection for your investment.
That's huge because we do get a lot of questions about, I'm smaller and bigger, different industry. So, what I'm hearing is it's fairly flexible and customizable.
It is.
Awesome. I love that. All right. Does it matter what block storage I'm currently using in order to migrate to Alletra MP block?
It does not. If you're
Hmm.
already using an HPE product, say 3PAR, or you're on an Alletra 9000, it's as simple as an in-place upgrade. You don't even have to do anything on your hosts. We'll move those worldwide IDs right over and migrate your storage online, pretty quick. So we can even do it while your app's alive. We
Hmm.
also have the ability to use any, freeware third-party product. We have HPE Zerto, which comes with a 30-day, free trial. A lot of customers use that to migrate their VMs or whatever you're doing from different storage units if it's not HPE branded. And we always have the ability to use our own migration services and software. So, whether it's going to be freeware from a cloud-based utility, a built-in HPE utility if you already have HPE storage, or third party, we have that covered.
Well, that's a lot of good answers and a lot of yeses there. John, I'm curious, when you think about the opportunities here and all the easy buttons that you're providing for the audience, what is it that makes you most excited? Is the key unique that really stands out for you?
So for me, I started in the field, one of Boston's largest banks, one of the largest banks in the world. And then I went on to be a partner, and then I came on to work for HPE, right for the manufacturer. And what I saw was that migration where you had a point in time where you just had to accept that almost all performance is catching up. You're going to have those storage systems that are faster than others, but where things were lacking was that very easy management architecture where you don't have to be a rocket scientist to deploy a volume or see if you're having an issue within your environment. And because we proactively catch those tier one, tier two issues automatically just through our AI driven monitoring system, it really makes a difference. So for me, I think it's that reliability, knowing that I don't have to go and create a trouble ticket myself. These systems create trouble tickets on their own, or you can create one on, by yourself for your own issue if you did encounter an issue that didn't have anything to do with something we could predictably take care of.
Well, on behalf of all the non-rocket scientists here in the room with us today, I very much appreciate that. getting simpler and easier, and again, just a recurring theme, which is I hope that's really hooking and resonating for folks out there, because I think as everything can feel really complicated and overwhelming, and when we can simplify, let's do that. When we can make our lives easier, let's do that. John, I really wish that we could keep going with this conversation. I think we're going to have to wrap it up. But before I let you go, for somebody that is excited about everything you've just said to us today, and I know that everyone in the audience is, and they're looking to learn a little bit more, what would you recommend as the first step to getting started with HPE?
Well, there's a guide you can download, which is the top 12 reasons to go with Alletra MP. That's a great place to start. You can also reach out to me via email, john.vitiello@hpe.com, and you could reach out to me that manner, or you could just reach out to your local HPE rep. And if you'd even like to just chat with me and talk about your environment, I always love a great conversation.
Well, you love a great conversation, and you bring a great conversation, John. Thank you so much for being here with us today, for wrapping up our weeks or starting off our weekends, however we're looking at it in style. This has been a ton of fun. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, and to everyone out there that is still clicking on that wish list, on that shopping list on your screen, keep that coming. Get the data sheets, get the white papers, get the case studies, whatever would be helpful for you. Remember, again, this is going to be a great way to jog your memory. It's going to be a great way to tell your friends, your coworkers, all about everything you heard today. And do be sure that you follow up with John and continue this conversation. I will also recommend, if you haven't already done so, click on the handouts tab and make sure you've clicked on the handout from HPE, top 12 reasons to choose HPE GreenLake for block storage, powered by HPE Alletra Storage MP. So basically, this is going to be the perfect follow-up to everything that we just heard. This is going to be a nice, fun, it's actually, it tells you right at the top, it's only a 4-minute read. I love when they do that. That really lets me know what I'm in for. I'm one of those people that I need to know how long the race is before I start the race. So it's a quick, easy 4-minute read. So all of you have 4 minutes right now. Make sure you've got that tab open and read that as soon as we close out. But before you go, I do have one more little piece of fun for all of you on this already fun-packed hour that we've spent together. We have a $250 Amazon gift card that we will be giving away to someone here live, present, and lucky at the webinar. And that special someone is Al Sater from Texas. Al Sater of Texas. Congratulations to you, Al. As always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after we wrap. Now, don't forget, there's still that best question gift card. So if you do still have a burning question, get it in. If you got a question in and we did not get to it in our live Q&A with John today, no worries. We will make sure that those questions get sent to the Hewlett Packard Enterprise team, so you will get some responses back. All right. Well, with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media crew, I want to once again thank Hewlett Packard Enterprise for making this webinar possible, especially to John. You've given us so much to think about today, which, of course, for all of you out there, brings me around to my biggest high fives, which, as you know, always go to all of you for joining in, for making this conversation possible. I so appreciate the time that you've taken out of your day, out of your Friday, as you are, I'm sure, either ticking off the busy to-do list so that you can get out into what I hope is a sunshiny day for you, or hey, maybe you're already in weekend mode and you're swirling the margaritas as you kick back and learn. Wherever you're at in your day, I hope that you have gotten some great information from this webinar and maybe gotten some sort of action steps that you want to take after we follow up. Write those down before you head out for the weekend. Remind yourself that when you come back in on Monday, you want to follow up with John. You want to book that conversation. You want to continue learning a little bit more about HPE and the incredible solutions that we've heard about today. Because again, the more we can hit those easy buttons, the better, right? Life's too complicated. So let's simplify where we can. All right. Well, I know I've learned a ton from the session today. I hope that you all have. I hope that I get to see you all again soon. And until then, have an absolutely beautiful end to your week. Thanks all.